Welcome to Auburn Online's Tiger Bytes. We have a special treat today. We're with Christine Gannis, who is currently employed by Auburn Online. But before we get that, I was hoping she would give us a little bit of her background. Where were you born? What did you do before you joined us? All that fun stuff.
Okay, thank you for having me. Little about me. I was born in Birmingham. I've kind of lived here, there, and everywhere. I have been at Auburn since 2015 in a few different roles. Before I came to Auburn Online, I was at the Goose Performing Arts Center as the Campus and Community Programs Manager. And we will actually talk a lot about the project that started over there and then came over to Auburn Online when I did and how that came to fruition and is. And I have 2 degrees from Auburn, one an undergraduate degree in music and then a master's degree in music education with a concentration in voice. So I was a voice major and with a minor in communication.
So one of the things we try to do with Tiger Bytes is showcase some of the really innovative, cool stuff that's going on in the online space on campus. And one of the things that you've developed is called the Musical Menagerie.
Yes.
So I was hoping you could take us through the history of the Musical Menagerie, explain what it does, explain what the goals are, etc.
Yes, I'd love to. So let me take you back to 2020. We at the Goose Center, when I was there, we had done a Tiger Giving Day project, and our goal was with the project to bring the Alabama Symphony Orchestra to the Goose Center and bring in elementary students and let them have a hands-on experience with instruments. Well, we made our project and then fast forward a couple weeks and COVID happened. So we were thinking, oh my goodness, how are we going to, talk about instruments or fulfill this project that we fundraised for when we can't have children touching instruments and we can't even have people in the building and we're all masked and we're staying home. So that's when the education and engagement team was kind of tasked with, okay, how do we pivot and how do we, come up with something really neat that students can still learn about the instruments? So it went through a few iterations of, well, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. It actually took about a year of trial and error on where we wanted to be and what we wanted to do. And then I reached out to Auburn Online, and we met several times, and it became what it is now. So it is a interactive game, if you will, about music, about musical instruments. We have a lot of cross-curricular connections in it. That was really important to me in the, concept design of it, that we wanted it to tie into your core. We wanted it to tie into math. We wanted it to tie into history and science, but then also have, the tech side of it, but then the art side of it. It went through many different versions in the beginning. We were thinking maybe we can do something with virtual reality goggles. And then we kind of scrapped that because we really wanted it to be something that was accessible to students everywhere. And, not a lot of people have virtual reality goggles. So maybe, in the future, that could be a different phase of it. So the way it is right now is the characters are animals, but they are jungle animals, they're farm animals, so it's a mix, and beautiful colors and illustrations and animation. And there are 4 different rooms, and each one of the rooms represents one of the musical families, so your woodwinds, brass, percussion, and strings. And the user or the student can go in, learn about musical instruments, and they can actually pick up the instruments in the virtual setting and move them around, and they can hear them sound. We did a focus group at the beginning of the project with teachers from different elementary backgrounds. And I would say, so some in really rural, some in really more affluent neighborhoods, all throughout the state. And, we wanted feedback. What do you need in a classroom? And the one kind of line that we heard from all of them was, it would be great to have a resource where a student can see an instrument and hear it. Because what they had been doing is finding a picture or finding someone playing it, but there was no resource that had both of them kind of together, which I was a little shocked because you would think that would already be out there, but it wasn't. And so within Musical Menagerie, they can do that now. They have the capability of seeing the instrument. So let's say a saxophone, looking at the saxophone, turning it around, seeing the different components of it, and then being able to like play different notes. Now, we only chose an initial 16 instruments to showcase because there's a lot of instruments in the world.
How many instruments are there?
I think over 1,500 instruments in the world. So that could be a pretty extensive project if we had to showcase every instrument. But so we identified the 16 that we wanted. And another element that was really important to me was I didn't want it to be completely Western centric instruments. I of course wanted to incorporate them, but I didn't want it to be only orchestral instruments. I wanted to showcase the banjo or the didgeridoo, or talk about different global instruments.
Are
Because
there any of these instruments that the typical American would not have heard of?
Oh, so within the rooms, there's a bunch of lessons on different places around the world and different instruments that came from them. A lot of the drums, I would say, from Africa,
Mm.
there's probably a lot of them that people haven't seen or heard. But I mean, there's bunch from a lot of different places, and then when you get into like Eastern music in like Asia, and you're talking about some of their erhu and really interesting stringed instruments. Yeah, I would imagine Americans probably haven't seen those. Not too many of us anyway. I have a musical background, and I don't think I've ever seen it. Maybe once. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I've seen one erhu.
Right. So this was
Yeah,
designed mainly for children, but older folks could benefit as well.
absolutely. Um, my father-in-law he likes to play guitar, and he has a lot of guitars, and he loves music. And I told him, I'm like, I'm going to have you play this. I'm going to have you go through the experience, and you tell me, did you learn something? But yes, I think that it is for elementary students. So I would say, second grade through sixth grade is kind of, where the sweet spot that we were wanting to hit. But kindergartners could use it if they wanted to, and then seventh, eighth, even up through high school, because especially with the lessons, I feel like there's a lot of really rich, interesting information in the lessons that are within each room. So in the room, they can see the instruments, but then there's also little tasks that they have to do to kind of complete. Oh, we've completed the room. And we wanted to add a gamification aspect to it where they can like earn little music notes to know like, okay, well we've completed 4 or 5 little lessons or tasks in this room. So within that, there's different like little mini quizzes at the end, but they're more like games. So like matching, drag and drop, hear the trumpet, what it like identification kind of things. So we wanted it to be fun. I didn't want it to be so heavy that, kids wouldn't think that it was fun. I wanted it to be educational, but that they felt like they were actually playing a game. Because we know, attention span. And with iPads and computers and phones and everything so accessible, they probably know how to use this stuff really well. And so I definitely wanted it to be fun. But it is web-based, and it will be free once it comes out. I'm not sure the Goose Center's plans because I'm not over there anymore. I'm with Auburn Online now, but I believe they're hoping to roll it out in 2025 sometime.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think early 2025.
Could you take us behind the scenes a little bit on the technical aspects? Like, how do you actually put this thing together?
That's a great question. In the beginning, we had no idea. So there's a lot of things in Musical Menagerie that I think are kind of first time for all of us kind of figuring out. So within it, there's a narrator. So we're thinking of audio and narration, but then each one of the rooms is a certain program and software. And then we also used like Powtoon and to create the animations. So it's a lot of like different software pieces that we have kind of unified and brought together. It's not just one software that can do all of these things. So there was a lot of challenges around figuring out how to make all the different pieces work, and especially with the 3D instruments, because that's not really something that's been done. So really having to and I didn't work on the creative side of this as far as building the instruments, but I know that making those instruments so that they are rendered and, you can zoom in on them and zoom out on them and move them around, and it doesn't lose any of its characteristics or components to it. I know that was a big challenge. I think there's still some edits that we need to make on some of the instruments, so we are just in testing of it right now. Um, and we've gotten some feedback, so there's some future edits that we're going to make to hopefully make the instruments a little bit more user friendly. And I think we're going to add in some labeling too, so that way the students know, like, okay, I'm looking at a saxophone and these are the different parts. So this is the mouthpiece, and then this is where you click to like hear it sound. I think that's going to be really important for students too. So really just figuring out how to bring all of those different pieces together, I think was the biggest technical challenge. And we just really had to break it out one by one. Like, okay, we need to do this in this piece of software, and then this is how we're going to integrate it into the system. And we just had to take it one by one like that.
Gotcha. Are there any sort of applications that you've thought of beyond music for this sort of presentation?
Oh, you know, yes. I really think that this project could be scalable for pretty much any subject,
I was
depending
thinking
on.
about cooking.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, we could definitely do something with cooking or culinary, or,
Hmm.
watching a chef make something and have the user do it. Any kind of, interactive experience where you are teaching someone a how to, I think we could, use this idea or this gamification process and the different rooms, or it doesn't even have to be rooms, it could just be one where you're teaching someone how to do something. And having it web based, I think, just brings it to people in their home or school or wherever they're learning from.
Do you have a sense as to how big of a problem it is in the state with students not having access to actual instruments?
Yeah, it varies. You definitely have, at the top, students who have all the
Sure,
access.
sure.
I mean, everything, every musical instrument they could need, want, ever want to see. Maybe not an air who, but if they ask for it, they could probably get it. Um, And then you have a all of that in the middle, and then all the way at the bottom where there's no music in schools, no
Mm,
art in schools, where you have teachers who are supplementing that, English teachers, science teachers who recognize the value of the arts and what it brings to someone's life and how it can enrich someone's life and transform it, but that they just don't have the resources available at their school because we know the arts are usually the first things that get cut,
of course,
unfortunately.
of course.
And so you have teachers who are willing to teach that or take time, designated time. It's not like they can spend their whole week on it,
Right.
but just, giving them a little taste of it to hopefully maybe there's one student in there that's like, oh, that resonates with me. And, will hopefully have an opportunity in their schooling that they can have access to it, but a lot don't. So that was another reason why, bringing this online was so important because for those students who do or don't have access, this is a way for them to get it. In a pretty fun and easy way, I think, because it's web based. And for schools that might have issues with, internet, because those are also out there,
Yes.
we developed the entire musical menagerie into a PDF.
Mm.
So teachers can download it, print it out. The lessons are in there, the instruments are in there. There's coloring pages, there's word searches. So we tried to make it as fun and as engaging as we could with it being a booklet. So we tried to bring that to them as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you maybe a little bit of a different question about your experience at the Goose Center. Did you
Okay.
have any interesting celebrity encounters
Oh
when
my
you were
gosh.
working there?
I had few, but the first one that comes to mind, was a very I hold this near and dear to my heart, but we had Yo-Yo Ma,
Mm.
the,
Sure.
famous cellist, and, with Goat Rodeo Sessions. So they came in, it was a group, and they did a really fun show out on the amphitheater. Before they went on, I was backstage with them, and I said, "If you really wanna make the crowd go wild, you need to go out and say, 'War Eagle.'" And Yo-Yo Ma was like, "They call me Eagle in the group." And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And so he was like, "And tonight will be the War Eagles." And he like held up his bow like he was going into battle. And then he just starts riffing on his cello. And it was beautiful. And it was just like such a, I don't know, just a really fun moment that I was the only one there that got to witness it. So it was like very special that I had that moment with, some really famous and genuine musicians. So
Right.
that was a really cool moment.
So did he go out there and say War Eagle
He
and the
sure
place
did.
went bananas?
Went bananas.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting because probably some people will see this and they'll have no
Yeah.
idea where that came from, even though they were present when it happened.
That's right. That's right. I hope there is. So yeah, that's near and dear to my heart. That was a special moment.
Neat.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have time for today. I
Okay.
appreciate you talking about the musical menagerie and all of the benefits that it can have, both throughout the state and beyond
Mhm.
Alabama, and especially for children, but also for older folks as well. So
I
look
appreciate
forward
you.
to the full launch, hopefully sometime in 2025.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is Taylor Songroth. I am a graduate assistant working as an instructional design assistant for Auburn Online. I have been part of Auburn Online since 2021, starting on the creative team. In my roles, I've been involved in both the design and content development aspects of creating interactive learning experiences using Storyline 360. Storyline 360 is a powerful platform by Articulate 360 that offers a low-code, no-code interface, making it accessible for instructors and course designers of all technical levels. With Storyline 360, you can seamlessly combine multiple types of media, including text, video, audio, 360 images, hotspots, question sets, images, and much more. Imagine being able to bring your content to life with interactive elements. Storyline 360 allows you to create simulation-type activities that walk learners through processes they might not otherwise have access to. This hands-on approach enhances learning and retention. For instance, you can design a virtual chemistry lab where students can interact with different molecules, or a food safety training simulation where learners can practice decision-making in a risk-free environment. Storyline 360 is designed with a layout similar to PowerPoint, making it intuitive for those familiar with creating presentations. It includes animations and transitions, enhancing the ease of use. Additionally, Storyline 360 features a timeline similar to video editing platforms, along with slides and layers, which significantly boost customizability. By using triggers, creators can precisely control how and where users interact with the content, creating a highly engaging learning experience. Are you ready to transform your online courses? Try Storyline 360 today and see how easy it is to create engaging, interactive, and accessible content. A free 30-day trial is available through Articulate 360, or contact Auburn Online to learn more about how we use Storyline.